Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, it's time for Below Grade Level. Listener beware, you're in for a scare.
Hello and welcome to Below Grade Level, the show where we take the books that we read as kids and read them as adults and ruin them. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Eaton. With me as always is Bekah Eaton.
Hello.
And Chris Zaleski.
Hello.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Very well, thank you.
Good. I'm so glad.
It was a day, but I'm not going to get into it.
Good. Let's not get into it.
You keep that shit to yourself.
And there came a day.
That
you save that for your therapist.
lovely
Chris.
voice you hear is our extremely special guest, first time guest of the podcast, and we're huge fans of his. Clint McElroy, hello. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I went in for mood lighting.
Ooh, it's
This
spooky.
scary tale we're about to unwind for everybody.
Yeah, it's very appropriate. If you're listening, you can hear Clint on such amazing shows like The Adventure Zone, which we're huge fans of. And you sometimes pop up on, I believe, My Brother, Me, and the McElroy Family Clubhouse.
I do. I show up on both. Whenever my parole officer allows it, I pop right in there.
Well, we are gigantic fans of yours, and we are absolutely thrilled to have you on our show, and thrilled to read this book, which you picked for us. The book we're about to read is Christopher Pike's Scavenger Hunt. We've read some Christopher Pike before, and it's always a banger. It's always a good time.
Yeah, they're always my favorite by far.
Yeah.
Because it's crazier shit than I could ever imagine in my entire lifetime.
It's guaranteed insanity.
Yeah.
It's truly stuff that I'm like, wow, I can't believe I read this as a kid.
Yeah, someone wrote these words and then let tweens read
I
it.
shouldn't have. So, Clint, my question for you is, I heard that you have read this book.
I have read this book. Yes.
Now, my main question is, did you read this book like a while ago, or did you read this for us?
I read it for you, my
Oh
friends.
my God.
I told you you're my friends.
That is...
I had a humble brag. I had to fly to Germany.
Humble brag.
And
That's fun, though.
I consumed this on the flight to Germany. So I went
That's awesome.
right from this to Oktoberfest in Munich. So,
Oh my God.
Ooh.
you know,
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous, actually, of that.
no,
That's
it's-
Well,
incredible.
and the fact that you still wanted to come back and read it must say
Oh.
good things about the book.
well,
If you're like,
not
yeah, I would experience this again.
necessarily. No, you know, you were talking earlier before we started recording about, how sometimes you guys have read some books that, didn't really set the world on fire, but that can be some of your funniest bits, I believe.
Honestly,
I think that, sometimes the worst subject material provides the more comedy. So
Yeah.
MST3K proved that stratagem, I believe.
Yeah.
That's very true.
MST3K is engraved in my soul.
I think so, yeah. Same.
And we're soul brothers, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
So have you ever read any Christopher Pike before this?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I mean, of course, I'm familiar. But the whole R.L. Stine, Christopher Pike,
Yeah.
I mean, really kind of came about in my son's generation.
Right.
And I have always been a huge reader. And I started reading. I was living in Nevada. I was 11 years old, and we were living in a big apartment complex. And I went walking past the dumpster of this apartment complex. Yeah, I'm a dumpster diver. But I walked past this dumpster, and there was a grocery bag, and I could tell it was full of something. And it looked very square. So, I mean, I took a chance. I opened it, and inside were 36 Doc Savage paperbacks.
That's awesome.
Wow.
The first 36, the original, well, not the original, because the originals were, of course, in pulp magazines, but this was the first. I think it was
Like
Bantam.
published. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and it was in the paperbacks, and I devoured them. And so, I mean, in a way, I guess you could call that young adult.
That's
but-
what I wished
know
happened when I
nothing
was a
about
kid.
Doc Savage. Can you give me like a really quick rundown of what that is?
Venture
Doc
Brothers.
Savage was Venture Brothers. It was the
Yeah.
Venture Brothers and Johnny Quest before.
Yeah.
Venture Brothers and Johnny Quest. The Doc Savage was from the pulps in the 1920s and 1930s. He came around before Superman. He came around before all the costumed heroes.
A little like proto Indiana Jones kind of.
Very much.
Like
Yeah, Doc was raised by his father to be the ultimate human. He was brilliant. He was trained in all these sciences and peak physical condition, and had a gang of 5 assistants and they just went all over the world and had all these crazy encounters. And I kind of graduated from Tom Swift Jr. and the Hardy Boys and the Happy Hollisters, which I guess were young adult books, and transitioned into Doc Savage, and I haven't been the same since. I consumed all the
it'll
pulps
change you. Yeah.
and kind of went right from that. But when I was 14, I was consuming the classics, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and
Okay.
on and on, sci-fi and fantasy, and
Yeah.
and then on to Tolkien and everything else.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I am one of those hipsters who says Tolkien.
That's the way you said. That's the correct way to pronounce it.
Yeah. So see how cool I am?
You're in good company here.
I don't say it like that, but I'm white trash. So I don't mind hearing it.
Yeah.
It sounds better.
Yeah.
Well, also our area's accent, like Tolkien.
Yeah.
Tolkien.
Yeah.
Ugh. Can we not do a Baltimore accent in this book?
Oh, please.
It's so
oh, God.
triggering.
The last book we read, Clint, the main character was from Philly, right?
From
Yeah.
Philly.
The
Yeah.
main character was from Philly, and we were like, "Oh, that's close enough to Baltimore. We'll do the Baltimore accent." And it's not
Go to
only
the Wawa and grab a hoagie.
Oh,
God.
right now, all those people in Philadelphia are cursing your names.
they can curse our names,
They
but
don't want to
they
admit
know
it's
in
the
their
same
hearts.
accent.
They know in their
It
hearts it's
is.
the same.
It's all mid-Atlantic.
It's all Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic, as I
No,
say.
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, like we read a book called Phantom Valley, and at a certain point I was like, "Oh, it's perfect because you just go Phantom Valley."
I've tried to train that accent out of me,
Well,
and
yeah.
then I get tired or drunk, and it comes back, and then I hear it in the book, and I can't undo it.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. We were doing it so much in that last book that I was finding it seeping into my non-podcast voice, and I was
Yeah.
like, "This is dangerous. We have to not do a main
Gotta
character
reel it
Baltimore
back.
voice. Baltimore, Phantom
Baltimore.
Valley. Holy crap. Okay. Well, let's dive in. As a tradition, usually Chris will describe what the cover looks like, and I love the covers of Christopher Pike's books. So, Chris, why don't you tell us what's going on in this?
All right, so author of Remember Me and the Final Friend series, Christopher Pike, in that wonderful salmon-colored early 90s, late 80s font. Of like everything.
It's like hot salmon,
Yeah.
like
Hot salmon.
neon salmon.
Neon salmon.
Like
yeah.
this marker's broke. Like that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And it looks like a young man holding a piece of paper in a yellow shirt. Another young man, but also he kind of looks like he's 40, with a backpack and a flashlight.
And
a young-
khakis.
Yeah, and khakis. Gotta
Yeah.
have the chinos. And
Yeah.
He
they're
looks
in
a little like Sean Astin.
yeah.
Oh, he
and,
does.
And a young lady are in a graveyard and they're shining a flashlight on
She's wearing like a
something.
t-shirt dress, it looks like.
And there's a nice like mausoleum
With a
in the
belt.
background and fog.
You know how you wear a belt over your t-shirt.
Of course, yeah.
And then the title, Scavenger Hunt, but it's prefaced by saying, "Pray they don't find what they're looking for." And then it just looks red.
Well, I also just realized there's like thick footprints
It's
in
like
the bottom,
footprints in sand.
in the red sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you all have not read this?
No,
We have not.
We're
No.
going in
Okay,
fresh.
that scene on the cover is not
Yeah.
in the book. I'm telling you, I can't even remember if they go to a cemetery.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
Oh,
So
What a
that's
off to
so
a good
good.
start
Mislead.
there, Christopher.
Oh, good. Oh, I love Christopher Pike so much. Christopher Pike, Scavenger Hunt.
And yeah, it says Remember Me in the Final Friend series. We read Remember Me, and
Remember
that
Me.
was the craziest shit
And I think
we've ever read.
I'll never forget. Like, that's a good title,
No.
because I will never forget
I
Remember
will
Me. That
never
was
forget Remember
crazy.
Me. I don't know the other one, though.
That was about a girl who was at
The
a
other
party.
book was
and
Forget Me.
Remember Me was about a girl who died at a party and then came back as a ghost and was just like a ghost for the book with like a ghost.
I was thinking of the other book with the android time traveling girl.
That was the Eternal Enemy.
Oh, the Eternal Enemy, of course.
Remember Me was the ghost girl and the like alcoholic detective.
Yeah, like Columbo.
Yes.
Yeah.
With that, estranged daughter.
This
was
book
on the
makes
balcony.
Stephen King look like Jane Eyre.
Stephen King wishes he could be as good as Christopher Pike.
Yeah.
This book is for Sharon, and thank you for the Internet Archive for digitizing it. I love it that we start off with a prologue. We're not even going into chapter 1.
Yeah, I don't remember the other ones having a
I
prologue,
don't either.
but I never remember what we read because
Pretty
it's
sure
so
it's
crazy. It
pronounced
leaves my brain.
Prologue.
Prologue, thank you. Okay. Prologue.
That's how we say it in Baltimore.
No, we go prologue.
Prologue. No,
Prologue.
we can't start.
We cannot
I'll never stop.
I thought it was pierogi.
That too.
In the church. Oh boy. Oh, we're
I know. I
starting off
told you
so
the
good.
first two sentences were great.
Yeah. Okay. A victim for the sacrifice. At last, the boy understood what they wanted him for. The church was old. It stood at the edge of the tiny, run-down town like a cathedral built in defiance of wind and dust, held fast by weed-choked desert and desperate night. Fuck, I love it.
Poetry.
Poetry. The boy had spotted it from 2 miles away, the black silhouette of it of its crowning cross and the black. I'm so sorry. I can't read already. The black silhouette of its crowning cross, an outstretched hand of asylum pulling him toward it with pounding heart and weeping eyes. I'm sorry, did you just say poetry, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. He needed a place to hide. They were coming. He could feel them coming.
Gross.
Yet the boy hesitated as he neared the top of the stone steps, his dry, gasping breath a hurricane in his ears. It was late. He didn't know if the church was open, and suddenly he couldn't bear the possibility that it might not be open. He thought that if he pulled on the door handle and it didn't budge, he'd begin to sob uncontrollably, or worse yet, begin to scream at the top of his lungs so that they would know.
I felt like that the whole last week, actually.
Yeah.
For no reason.
So that they would know where he was.
Then it would finally be over. He wanted it to be over. But that didn't mean he wanted to die. Not their way. He had no choice. The people of the nearby town could not help him, even if they would open their doors to him. Only God could help him. He reached for the handle. "Oh, sweet Jesus, please," he said. It
I
opened.
said the same thing reading it.
Sweet Jesus, help me. It opened. Relief and cool air washed over him as he stepped inside. He smelled the wax of burning candles, sensed the silence of years of whispered prayers. God, I love you, Christopher Pike. Inside was almost as dark as outside. If not for the candles illuminating the altar, he would have stumbled on the vase of holy water set on top of a low pillar beside the doorway. He touched the water with the tip of his fingers as he tried vainly to moisten his cracked lips and with his bone-dry tongue.
Wait, with holy water?
He
I'm
touched
sorry.
the water with the tip. So he's like touching the water and also licking his lips separately.
how it
These are
works.
separate actions.
I thought he was dipping his hands in the holy water, and he's like,
sucking,
help me, Jesus.
He's sucking the water through his body from the tips of his fingers into his
Yeah.
lips and tongue.
That scans.
That's what's happening. He needed a drink in the worst way, but was reluctant to bend over and satisfy his thirst. He thought of the thought of germs didn't deter him. It was the fear of committing a blasphemy, especially now when he could ill afford to offend anybody.
But he can stick his dirty mitts in there. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just dip your fingies in, but don't drink it. He blessed himself quickly and moved further into the church. The place was all but deserted. Only one old lady in black sat in a pew, and she stood quickly as he entered, throwing him a furtive glance and tightening her shawl over her hunched shoulders before disappearing into a wooden confessional booth built into the stone wall on the right side of the church.
Remember that lady.
Oh my god.
This is
shawl
great having
lady.
someone that's read it before.
I know. I love having the inside track.
Yeah.
She never comes back, but I just wanted you to remember her.
Just remember her.
No character
In
wants
our
to be
hearts.
forgotten, no matter how lame they are.
Yeah. She was there being furtive.
Even before you said that, I was like, is she important?
Yeah, like, is she the priest?
I ruin
the secret
movies
priest?
for everybody, too. I'll give them an elbow and go, watch this, watch this.
He'll never believe
And
what
then
happens
nothing
next.
happens.
There had to be a priest in the booth listening to confessions.
To the right of the main altar was a smaller shrine to the Virgin Mary. He had not been to church in years, but he remembered that Mother Mary was supposed to be especially good at protecting those in danger.
Is that true? You're
I
Catholic?
honestly don't know.
Okay,
I
I don't
don't
know why I
remember.
bothered asking you. You're a terrible Catholic.
Yes, I was raised Catholic and don't remember a single thing.
Okay.
Hurrying up the central aisle, he genuflected before the statue of the Madonna.
I know what
He
that is.
he
Is
decided
that
to say a
Mary?
prayer, or like
Oh,
a
yeah.
prayer.
I think,
This
wait, I
is
think
this is
so.
all a Madonna album. Say a prayer, like
Oh
a
my God.
virgin.
If Madonna had made an album based off a Christopher Pike book, it would have been the best thing
It's not too
to
late.
ever
She can
happen.
still do it.
The Virgin had dozens of tiny candles burning at her feet already, their flames flickering drunkenly in small blue and red dishes above the flood of their own melted wax. The tiny flames irritated his already moist eyes, and he had to pull a handkerchief from his pocket to
So,
stop the tears
dry
from pouring
mouth.
over his cheeks.
Wet eyes,
Yeah, that's where all the moisture is.
dry fingers.
It's,
He
it's-
needs a still suit from Dune.
A tarnished silver donation box sat to the side on the shrine. One was supposed to put something in it before lighting a candle, he recalled, and he searched his
really?
pants for change. He came up with 2 quarters, but before he slipped them in the box, he hesitated once more. To call the police, he would need at least 1 quarter, if not both of them. It would be foolish to throw away his money like this.
Okay, I was pretty young in 1989,
Yes.
but I thought you could call the police for free.
Oh. Yeah. Wouldn't
would
911 be
think.
free? Like, that's...
Isn't 911?
I don't remember ever dialing 911 from a payphone.
I did not dial 911 when I was 3 years old,
But
so
I-
I don't know.
I would
Hey,
imagine.
I'm just impressed you remembered payphones.
Yeah.
No,
we had a payphone in my high school. Yeah.
We're not that
911
young.
works on payphones, because I
Yeah.
accidentally
Yeah.
did it at an Olive Garden when I was a child.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And
I
Well,
need to
this-
know.
Breadsticks! We got breadsticks!
it was just
Then
taking a long
somebody-
time to wait
They
for a
told
table.
me that when I'm here, I'm family, but that's not true. None of these are my family.
It was taking a long time to wait for a table, so I just went up to the payphone and was just like, oh, 911, and then I hung up. But the call still went through and the police showed up.
Yeah,
And
man,
I
that's
got
what
in
they
a lot of
do.
trouble for it.
That's awesome.
And,
Wait, the
okay.
police showed up to the Olive Garden? I was
Yeah.
writing notes, so I wasn't listening.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
respond to every
A
the
call.
curse of
child
the
called the
ticket.
police at
Wow.
Olive Garden, and they were like, they have to respond.
Jesus.
And, well, like, before it even rang, I hung up. But apparently they're like, well, maybe it's something serious. No,
They'll
it
show
was
up
just-
harder, I think, when that happens, because
My-
they're like, oh, they can't even talk to us.
And now you just fessed up, Chris.
Well, no, I got in trouble
Wait a minute,
that
there's somebody
day.
knocking on your door, Chris.
It was like, nope, it was just a giant-headed child folded around, impatient, waiting for a table.
Waiting for breadsticks.
All right, scroll down, please. Beep. Then he remembered what he had seen, what he had heard with his own ears and felt with his 2 hands. He hastily slipped the money in the box and reached for the stick to light his candle. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the thing to light. He couldn't get the wick to stand still. It kept moving, and he became angry with it until he realized it was his hands that were trembling. He had to grab his right wrist with his left palm to steady his hand sufficiently to make contact with the wick. His candle lit. The boy turned his eyes up to the Virgin.
She was beautiful, and the sight of her soft face momentarily allowed him to blot out the horror of what was in his mind. He began to pray. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the time of our death. Amen.
They got that right.
He repeated the prayer a dozen
wouldn't know.
times, then another dozen, and at the end, felt somewhat better. Well, yeah, it was 6 hours later.
Yeah,
That's
he
a
did
lot.
he did a whole rosary.
He left the
Is that
shrine
how
for
many are on a rosary?
There's a lot on a rosary. I don't. There's also like 10. Like I don't know, not 10. There's like 5 different prayers you gotta say because each bead is a different one.
Oh, I thought it was all the same one. I thought it was just that
I think
one.
all the
more
little
you
ones are
know.
Hail Marys, and
The
then the
more
big
you
ones are maybe Our Fathers, and then like there's a big chunky one, and that's a different one.
Oh.
There's multiple ones, and
And
depending
listen,
on how,
kids, don't do drugs. That's what
Yeah.
he says.
But also, if you do drugs, don't tell a priest.
Yes, and don't tell
because they'll
Mr.
make
T.
you do the rosary.
He left the shrine for a seat in the pew near the rear of the church. Needed to sit down to rest, and he wanted to be near the door in case anyone approached. But he wondered if he had, in fact, been followed, if he wasn't just imagining things. He had to ask himself if they would dare enter a church, if they wouldn't explode in flames at the sight of a crucifix.
Are there vampires?
The idea of being in a the idea of being in a divinely protected place. If that were the case, this book would make so much sense. The idea of
Writing
being in a
down not
divinely
vampires.
protected place gave him some comfort still. His hands continued to tremble. I lied about the old lady. The old lady in black was in the confessional booth a long time. When she came out, she did not kneel to do her penance.
Oh shit!
Quick glance at him, and she headed for the door. He tried to smile as she passed, but she lowered her wrinkled face and frowned. He must look like hell. The moment she was gone, he stood and strode into the confessional booth. Priest must have been anxious to leave. The boy thought he heard the father sigh as he opened the door to the booth and sat down inside. Of course, the boy could not be sure. The priest sat on the other side of a translucent screen of woven cloth that rendered him an ill-defined shadow beneath a dim overhead light.
The priest is like, oh, great, I get to hear about another wet dream.
The boy didn't know if he was happy or sad that the priest couldn't see him, and vice versa. Okay.
Did he not know that that was the deal?
I don't know. I don't know what this kid's deal is. He decided it didn't matter as long as the priest would listen to him and not demand that he leave. I don't think priests usually do that. One thing for sure, the boy was not happy about the interior of the booth. It was poorly lit, cramped.
I do not like the accommodations. I paid 50 cents to be here.
I have some notes about your confessional.
I can't see the nothing that's in here.
Am I supposed to kneel? It was poorly lit, cramped, a claustrophobic's nightmare. The wood of the small seat was not merely hard. His backside seemed to bruise just sitting on it. I can confirm that's pretty accurate.
But he's seen horrors.
I know.
We imagine.
I know.
Like
And
his
he's-
butt's a little sore.
And
sitting
he's
on a bench.
bitching about his butt. Yeah.
My butt hurts. It was only with the greatest effort that he was able to shut the door to the booth. He could have been shutting the lid to his own coffin. Right away, he began to have trouble breathing and had to fight to calm himself. Yes, the priest said after a minute when the boy had not spoken.
Oh,
The priest-
dude, you're gonna kill your voice before the end of this chapter.
Oh, the priest had a Spanish accent that I won't do, which was no wonder. The church wasn't far from the Mexican border. I was wondering where the fuck this book took place. The priest also sounded
On
old.
which
Ooh, I
side
nailed
of the
that one.
border?
Oh, good question. And the boy hoped that was good. He coughed once and began to speak. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been years since my last confession. These are my sins. He took a breath. I've killed someone.
Damn.
What? The priest asked, startled. I killed someone. The priest paused. Are you serious? Yes, Father. I'm very serious. His tone must have been convincing. The priest leaned forward behind the screen. The boy could actually feel his breath on his own face. Ugh. The priest's
breath?
yeah.
Ew.
The priest had had alcohol with his dinner. How old are you, son? The priest asked slowly. 18.
Well, that's old enough to murder.
Old enough.
So the law says it's fine.
Yeah.
Who did you kill? I can't say. I don't know. I mean, I do know, but it's not important.
What?
It's not important? It's the least of my problems right now, the boy thought. Yet he quickly wondered if that were true. There might be a pattern of cause and effect in what was happening to him, but he doubted that a logical analysis was going to give it to him. Not unless he started with the assumption that he was home in bed having a nightmare. He shifted uneasily in the compact cubicle, his right elbow bumping the chipped adobe wall on his right, the orange dust staining his already filthy shirt. It looked as if Spanish conquistadors might have erected the church hundreds of years ago. Suddenly, the boy didn't feel so well hidden as he felt trapped. The priest was waiting for him to continue. It's not why I'm here, the boy said. I'll explain in a minute, but first I need to ask you something. Do you believe in the devil?
Wait.
I'm a priest.
Yeah, I know. Like
That's literally what it says in the book, though, and I love that.
Yup.
I'm a priest. I know you're a priest, but a lot of priests these days, they say the devil is just symbolic and stuff like that. Like out of the Middle Ages, you know?
A lot of these, like, the cool, like early 90s priests, like,
cool hip
that are
priests.
like, hey.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
They say check this out a lot.
Yeah.
The devil's just
Hey,
an
check
allegory,
it.
and he turns his
I
chair
was
around
at
and
the
sits
mall
on
the
it.
other day, and I saw a couple of young people.
Why are you asking this? Because it's important. I need to know. I believe in the devil, the priest said. Good. The priest spoke gently. What is your problem, son? I'll finish this page.
Okay.
The boy couldn't control them. The tears simply gushed out. He had to reach for his handkerchief once more. I'm so afraid. Tell me. The boy began to tell him.
I already forgot that was a prologue.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it is... Okay, is that like a flash forward?
Yes.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Okay. I was like, okay, so either this is like, you know, the last victim, and then we're gonna like go into like the next victim, or it's one of those like, you
Yeah.
know, 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
You're speculating when Clint's right there. You could just ask him.
You would think that, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
However, Clint has already
let
proven
me
to
tell
be
you
a
this.
liar.
I will tell you
Got
this.
your copy.
I thought it was kind of a cute idea, the prologue and the unidentified kid. The thing is, you don't even get through chapter 1 without figuring out who the kid was. That mystery is completely gone.
I believe in the first sentence.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Chapter 1. Carl Timmons,
That's him.
the aforementioned boy, had a dream the morning of the scavenger hunt. It was the same dream he'd had on and off for the last year, and it was different. So, was it the same or was it different?
yeah. It was the same but different, Chris.
Yeah.
But it
What are-
began
Same but different.
What aren't you following?
but it began as it usually did. And, as always, everything that happened felt as if it were happening for the first time. He was with his best friend, Joe, and the two of them were kids again. They were riding tricycles. Why did I struggle with tricycles?
I don't know, but I
Up
really
a
enjoyed
dusty
I
it.
thought you
gully.
did that on purpose.
Tricycles up a dusty gully. Overhead, the
I
sky...
like Dusty Gully.
Yeah.
It was a wrestler, wasn't he?
Overhead, the sky was clear and the day was bright. They were having a great time, playing in the big outdoors together without a care in the world.
Aw, just like some 80s kids.
Remember life before
Back
the
in
internet?
the day when I went outside.
Yeah. When you just like drove your tricycle into a dusty gully.
Remember life before helicopter parents. 3-year-old
Yeah.
kids. We're just riding down the gully.
Up ahead of them, at the end of the gully, the dusty gully, was a huge dam. Joe understood the whole concept of the dam pretty well. It was a word he could say around his parents, but sometimes not allowed to say around his parents. He said there must be a lot of water on the other side of it.
Not much of a concept to it.
Maybe a lake, but Carl couldn't imagine it. On their side of the dam, everything was so dry and dusty. Carl thought there was probably just more of the same on the other side, or maybe nothing at all. Actually, this was before he understood object permanence. In reality, he didn't much care what was there.
Wait, what was this friend's name?
Joe.
Okay.
But Joe liked to talk about it as they rode along. The subject of dams interested him greatly.
Wow.
Which we've
Boring.
proven. Yeah. They were riding for quite some time and didn't notice that the sky had begun to darken. Black clouds swept over their heads, blotting out the last traces of sunlight. Lightning and thunder followed, and it began to rain. But not on them, only behind the dam. They could see the rain from a distance, coming down like a beaded curtain. Joe said they should go back right then. He was afraid that the dam would overflow, maybe even break, but Carl
the dam's
didn't
gonna break.
fear. Yeah, they do that. Carl didn't feel the least fear. The dam was big, strong, he thought. He didn't see how a little rain could possibly bring it down. And now he had a change of heart. Wow, that was like half a sentence. He wanted to peek on the other side to see with his own eyes if there really was a lake there, to see if Joe was right and he was wrong. He insisted they ride on, thus ensuring his doom. I added that last part.
These kids really don't understand dams, even though one of them said they do.
I know.
I want to know which one of what 3-year-old understands hydroelectric construction. It's just. They hadn't gone far when a thick bolt of lightning cracked the sky directly above them, accompanied by a deafening clap of thunder. A putrid smell filled the air. Not the usual ozone smell lightning brought, but the odor burnt flesh.
Dang.
And then it began to rain on them. The ground turned to mud. Carl quickly changed his mind about the dam. Now he was as scared as Joe. They turned the tricycles around and started pedaling like mad. Then the thing fell out of the sky. They didn't see it. They had their backs to the dam, and with the thick rain, it was hard to keep their eyes clear, but they heard it. The thing fell behind the dam, and the crash of its landing was louder than the thunder had been. The bad smell worsened, and they pedaled harder. Carl was afraid to look around, but he did look. Finally, when his wheels began to sink deep into the mud, and his burning lungs began to fail, and he felt he could not go on.
Jesus.
Clint, you're really good at this.
This is a lot for children to go through. I'm so upset for them.
And yeah, first of all, you are really good at this, and also like confirming. Me and Bekah were like, he's going to be amazing at this.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a lot of grandkids. I read to them all the time. not Christopher Pike, but
Oh, God.
Well, maybe you should
No.
start.
maybe I should.
Start with the eternal enemy.
Yeah.
Teach them about dams.
This was where things changed. Although in this particular nightmare, on this particular morning, Carl only sensed the change without understanding it. Ordinarily in his dream, he would see cracks forming in the dam with ribbons of water spouting out. This would, in fact, usually be the end of the dream, although occasionally the dam would actually break and a cascade of water would pour down on him and Joe, and he would wake up screaming. Jesus Christ.
Oh, brace yourself.
This time, the cracks were present, but look, when we're reading Christopher Pike, all I am is braced.
Okay. Strap in, baby.
Oh boy.
My computer
This time-
chair is a seatbelt.
This time, the cracks were present, but the spouting water was not exactly water. It had a red tinge to it.
Like blood?
And he thought the thing that had fallen into the water behind the dam must be bleeding. He froze for a moment, staring at the gook, knowing full well that the thing must have been huge to have darkened the entire lake. He was a believer in the lake by this time. Right.
Why
What?
was he a skeptic about the presence of a lake?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Some say there's a lake there.
some say, is that
but I don't believe it.
is that a dam over there? Some say there's a lake behind that dam.
Nope, I think it's dry. I think the water starts at the dam.
Others
I
say
think
There's
it's
nothing
just a
behind
wall.
it.
Others say it's just a big fucking wall.
Used to be a high life fontaine here, and they used to play all the time.
Some say they built the dam and never finished it and filled it with water.
It's just a wall that cries.
It's just a-
Everything behind it is dry.
And cries
Sad
blood.
The wall that cries. Holy shit. He was a believer in the lake by this time. His dream.
What a sentence.
I love it. Joe was pulling on Carl's shirt and screaming that they had to keep going. Carl could barely move. He was so scared. The bloody water caught up with them and began to flow around the tires of their tricycles and over their feet, staining their pants. Carl finally bore down and got his wheel moving again. Joe was stronger. He pulled several feet ahead of him, but continued to shout back frantic words of encouragement. Joe was in such a hurry to get away from the dam that he didn't pay enough attention to where he was going. The gully was fairly wide. Joe was bearing to the left, near the steep mud wall. At the moment, riding up the wall of the gully was out of the question, but they both knew that farther along the walls would level out and they would be able to escape. Oh god, I feel like I'm reading a math problem.
I don't really know what a gully is. I thought I knew, but I don't. Is it like a bowl?
Ditch. Like a big ditch.
Like a big ditch? Okay.
Yeah, it's like
a big
got
natural
sides,
ditch.
right?
Or a gulch.
Okay.
It could be a gulch.
I guess
It could
What's
be
the difference betine a gully and a gulch?
You're going to have to Google that one.
Two letters.
I don't even know what a gully is.
Lych.
Is anyone else upset that we don't hear the words of encouragement? Like, hey, buddy, you got this. You can outpedal the wall of blood.
Chris, you've stumbled on a major plot thread. Read on.
I thought you were going to
my
say,
God.
is anyone else disappointed that we don't hear the word gulch more often? Because that's how I feel. Oh, guys, according to Google, a gulch is generally larger than a gully and has more defined shape.
Okay, so a gully's a baby gulch.
Can you like do an image?
Baby gulch!
Can you do an image search? I need help.
Sure.
I need visual help.
Yeah.
With this descriptive power before your very eyes?
Yeah. All I know is there's blood and babies on tricycles.
Okay, so a gulch is like a
That's the episode title, by the way.
What are those things
that's
called?
not a.
That's not
like the Red Rocks stuff? That's
Yeah.
a gulch? Okay.
That's what Google says a gulch is.
You said Google like a Baltimorean.
God damn it.
All right, we must move on. The problem was they weren't going to have the chance to get much farther. Their tricycles weren't very fast. I'm trying not to go on a tangent about tricycles, but I have to at this point. I don't remember ever riding a tricycle. I feel like those are for actual babies. I feel like we had like one of those little like pedal cars. It was like a shitty little car that had like metal things that you pedaled.
Yes.
And then we just went from that to like a bike with training wheels. I never did a tricycle.
Oh my god, you're right. Wait.
Well, I mean, I'm right about my own childhood. Yours could be different.
But I wasn't even thinking.
You weren't
like,
there for mine.
How? Not that you know. How?
It's upsetting.
How? 2 years older than you. Just another child.
I'm picturing like 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
but
Wait.
it
How
can't
old are
be.
they in this dream?
3.
Wait, for real?
Wow.
Yeah, did you not remember back there? They said they were 3 and they were riding tricycles.
They're at,
I missed that.
unattended.
they're at the age where they still have to pedal, and then
Okay.
eventually you graduate to putting your feet on the back part and then pushing.
I know that this is a dream, but like,
I just feel like you.
no latchkey parent would let a 3-year-old out, right?
It was the
Right.
It was
Come
the
on.
80s, but I was 3 in '89, and I definitely was not out in a fucking gully on a tricycle.
I was definitely not allowed out in a.
Well,
In a-
you just
in
had
a
a
gully.
lame neighborhood.
in a rainy
Yeah.
gully. Okay.
Our problem is that we weren't born west enough.
Yeah, I guess. The tricycles weren't very fast, and Carl only had to look over his shoulder to know that the tiny cracks in the dam were growing bigger and fatter. The red water started to swim over his pedals. The only hope, as Carl saw it, was to head for a small hill several yards to the side of the right embankment. Carl called out to Joe, trying to communicate his idea.
I truly do not mean to go off on like another tangent, but like, can 3-year-olds articulate that much? Because we don't have kids.
Well, it's
and
the
we-
dream of an 18-year-old.
That's true. I keep forgetting that it's like a dream and there's dream logic. Okay.
Yeah, you do. You do keep forgetting.
I do keep forgetting.
And
that.
remember, this is where Christopher so brilliantly posited that this is where the dream diverged from what he remembered in the past. Plot thread, Chris.
You're just like you're like foreshadowing incarnate.
Yeah. Our Ghost
and
of Christmas Future.
Yes.
foreshadowing such Horse shit. Okay, go on.
Joe couldn't hear him and Carl didn't know what to do. He could go after Joe, get close enough to tell him his plan, and risk getting swept away himself, or else he could ride straight for the hill. He really did care for Joe. They were best friends. But he honestly didn't think he could get to Joe in time. Damn!
No,
The
that's
rain was-
behind them.
He really did care for him.
The rain was coming down too hard. He was too tired, and fuck Joe a little, I guess. He didn't want to die. He turned the wheel of his tricycle toward the right embankment. The sides of the hill in the middle of the gully were not so steep as the walls of the gully. What? I'm lost.
I don't know.
There are
There's-
slopes. It kind of slopes up
There's-
at these
okay,
points. That's
much
what he
gully
saw.
description.
There's slopes and then
embankment.
walls. Okay. Several
Yeah.
times Carl pedaled up 2 feet, only to slip back 3. Finally, though, he reached the top of the mound and was able to pause and catch his breath. It was only then that he realized Joe was as good as done for.
Damn.
The dam was coming apart, and in huge chunks. We have to stop saying dam.
Damn.
And Joe was plowing through a shallow stream that was about to become a raging river. Joe! Carl screamed. Joe heard him this time. He stopped and glanced over his shoulder in time to watch. A narrow splinter in the lower center of the dam split into a gaping red wound.
Gross.
The right and left sides of the dam held only a moment before collapsing in an avalanche of foam. The lake swept toward them both. They were some distance from the dam when the brunt of the wave hit the hill Carl stood on. It had leveled out enough to leave him untouched for the moment, but it showed Joe no mercy. Carl saw Joe raise his hands in horror, cry out Carl's name before he was buried beneath the thunderous cascade. Joe's tricycle flipped into the air, and Carl caught a blur of his friend's legs and arms. Then Joe was gone.
Dismembered.
Yeah, just the legs and arms.
Just,
And
yeah.
Carl hung his head in sorrow. But matters were far from over. The hill he stood upon was eroding beneath the onslaught of the red flood. He had a minute, 2 at most, before the ground beneath him would collapse and he would be swept away. He knew he had that much time because he encounters this all the time. Yet the possibility of drowning was not what sent the fear deep into his heart. It was the thing he saw. The thing the lightning bolt had sent crashing down from the heavens. Burnt and bleeding, but not dead, merely confined to the earth for a while. A thing that could never bleed to death.
I already forgot something fell.
It was a monster. It had a shape similar to a flying lizard from a time before man, and claws like a creature from the bottom of a cold sea.
What?
Was it a pterodactyl? But it was neither. It was worse. It was from the outside. Okay, so Lovecraftian.
This is. I was just gonna. Also, I was like, this is some Stephen King shit. Yeah.
Small and scared as he was, Carl could see that. He could see it in the thing's eyes. They were red and hot, and there were hard black dots in their centers that had no fathomable bottom, that led nowhere, and had no care except for its all-consuming hunger.
Jesus.
Who picks up a book called Scavenger Hunt?
Okay, right. Yes, this is what I was also
And they're
thinking.
on page 12, and they're like, so, like, is the Scavenger Hunt
So
starting
like,
yet? Or-
what's on the list?
It was a monster that
I
devoured...
need a claw of the monster and a scale of the monster and the eye of the monster.
Blood from the dam.
Blood from the dam. Scrap of Joe's clothing.
Especially little boys, which it found particularly tasty.
Gross.
Riding the crest of its own bloody wave, it was heading straight for him. The phone woke Carl. He sat up with a start. His eyes snapped open. For an instant, he saw a face superimposed over the blue wall of his bedroom. It was not the face of the monster in his nightmare. It was a human face, and yet it was just as horrible. Somehow it resembled the monster, and he recognized the face. But before he could call out the person's name, the image faded. The phone beside his bed rang a second time, and he reached for it, gazing at that poster of Mick Jagger on his wall. Hi, Carl. Did I wake you?
Oh, God.
Carl woke up in a hurry, pushing the dream aside. It was Ceci,
Sassy.
someone he wouldn't have dared to call.
What?
No, I'm up, he said, trying to clear his throat with the words, "How are you?" Ceci giggled. Sexy Ceci.
Ew.
What?
I hate it.
She could giggle all day and a boy wouldn't mind. I didn't wake you. I'm sorry, but we had to talk to you. The Partridge Club is having their scavenger hunt today. We wanted to get you on our team before someone else got you.
I knew there was a secret club, but Partridge Club is not the name I thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was thinking like a really cool underground club, like
Yeah, like the Danger
what was
Society.
that fucking
They just
movie?
Really
with
want to
the-
come on and get happy.
What was that
good
movie with
one.
the secret clubs?
Thank you.
With Joshua
Ruben
Jackson?
would be very proud
Oh,
of
the
you.
skeletons, the skulls,
Yeah, the
skulls and bones, or skulls.
Skull Club, whatever
Skull Club.
it was, it doesn't matter.
Just you wait, my friends. Just you wait. Carl could not believe his luck. He had talked to Ceci many times during the year, and she had always been nice to him, but they had never gone beyond superficial chatter. He'd been wondering how he could gather the nerve to ask her out before school ended next week. And here she was, setting up the perfect opportunity. The hunt was supposed to last all day and the teams to be small. That would be great, he said. Wonderful. Tom told me I could count on you. We went from killing a 3-year-old to sexy Ceci in a
Ceci.
heartbeat.
Yeah, welcome to Christopher Pike.
This
Oh my God,
is Christopher Pike.
he does not disappoint. Oh my God, Clint. We read a book. The last one, I think was it. No, it wasn't the last one.
No, we read the one with the writer.
The writer was the last one. We read a book called The Eternal Enemy, and spoiler alert, it's about a girl who.
Well, the premise of the book,
Oh yeah,
which is my favorite thing, is the premise versus what actually happens. The
Yeah.
premise was like a haunted VCR that could show you the future.
Yes.
But then what actually happens in the book is that there's a time-traveling teenage girl robot
Yes.
who forgets she's a robot and has a crush on her young grandfather.
Yes.
And it's horrifying.
The main character of that book turns out to be a robot from the future who came back in time to kill her grandfather and forgot about it and then falls in love with her grandfather.
Yes.
And the whole time we're like, wait, I thought it was a magic VCR.
Yeah.
This book makes that sound like the Bible. So
I'm so excited.
you just
Oh
wait.
my god.
Oh shit, I'm so excited. Oh my god. Ceci, I can't. Ceci.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We
I
get hung up
understand.
on names a lot.
Yeah. Tom Barrett was a friend of his, probably his best friend, now that Joe is dead!
Fuck.
Shit!
Yeah.
In that damn accident!
Okay,
That damn accident.
15 years it took this guy to get a best friend. He is
Well,
a
I mean,
social.
Everyone heard what he did to fucking
Joe.
Joe.
He left Joe
Leave him
behind.
in the
Yeah.
mud.
Holy shit. I had a bad dream. I woke up from, I wouldn't call it a nightmare, but I woke up from a distressing dream this morning where just like a lady was chasing me down the street with a razor blade. And
Were
like
you
that
on a
was
tricycle?
shoot, well, no, but no, like reading this, I'm just like, damn, I got it easy.
Yeah.
I didn't dream about a blood dam. Tom talked to Ceci regularly, although he'd never shown a romantic interest in her. Ceci went on, "Would you like to speak to him? He's at your house? Yes. He's sitting here on the deck of the pool watching me swim." Ceci
Buckle
giggled.
in.
Is she calling from the pool?
No. Keep going. Don't stop.
Ceci giggled again. "I'm naked."
Oh my god, Ceci!
Ceci. Sexy Ceci.
So
Always
you don't
naked.
have a pool phone?
Yeah, everyone's got a pool phone. Everyone who matters. Sounds like fun. Carl?
Yeah. Go for
Carl,
it.
what now?
Go on.
That sounds like fun. Carl wished he could see through his friend's eyes. Sure, put Tom on. I'll see you at school. You'll see me before then, Carl. He heard a loud splash and then started to get excited.
Yeah,
And-
started.
Started. He continued to be excited. Tom came on the line. Sure did. "How's it going, buddy?" he asked. All right, Carl said. I haven't got out of bed yet. For some reason, I'm picturing Carl now, currently, as Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Well, I kept picturing Carl from Caddyshack, so I kept thinking, hey, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, God.
Cinderella story, guy picturing a naked girl in the pool.
That scans. How are you? It was the usual mundane question to ask that we all have to do Monday morning. But because it was Tom, Carl listened closely for the answer. Tom had been hit.
Yeah.
Tom had been hit hard in the head during a football game last fall. The blow had knocked him out cold for 15 solid minutes.
Oh my
The
God.
doctor said he was all right. He still did well in school and all that, but he had a tendency to fall silent for long periods and to wander off.
He definitely died and saw the other side and came back and is haunted.
Yup.
Maybe Tom should have this voice, eh?
Oh my God, Tom.
I love how fast these books get off topic. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so good. Carl knew he was overprotective of him, his simple-minded football friend, but felt that should be the worst of his
But
fault.
yes, Ceci's like, you can see my titties. It's fine. I don't care about your traumatic brain injury. It's 9 a.m.
You won't remember.
Yeah.
It didn't bother him that Tom was with Ceci and he wasn't, because of the brain injury.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't bother him much. I'm the same, Tom said.
There's the voice.
Yeah. Is that good or bad? Carl asked. I don't know. What are you doing at Ceci's house?
Hanging out. I don't do voices, by the way.
Yeah, Becca does
to
not
let
do
you know.
voices.
It's probably keeping you out of trouble.
Yeah. Is she really swimming naked? I think so. You want to give
What?
us a ride to school? Who can tell under all that water, You want me to come get you?
Ask me 1 year ago and I can tell you.
Yeah. If you can, Tom said. No problem. Did you talk Ceci into asking me to be in her group for the scavenger hunt? We should all be together. Are you in the group too? Carl asked. Yeah. Great. See you soon. All right, Tom said. Goodbye.
Typical guy conversation on the phone.
It really is, though, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Carl said so long and set the phone down. It was only then he realized that his shirt was soaked with sweat. The nightmare came back to him in a rush. Yet he couldn't really remember it all, except that it had been different from the usual one. There had been a dragon or a snake at the end. Boy, he must be losing it. The blasted thing had scared the hell out of him.
What?
Nah, I'm not adding anything. You really don't need to sometimes.
What is he, Doc Savage?
Nobody is Doc Savage.
The man
You
of
watch your
fronds.
mouth, mister.
Carl didn't spend much energy analyzing the dream. He'd done that many times before, and Freud's worst pupil could have solved the riddle in a minute. The last summer, he'd gone for a hike with Joe Travers deep into the desert.
Yeah.
The weather had been fine when they'd set out. His last name's Travers, I guess.
Okay. And this is last summer?
Yeah.
The last
summer.
Well, was it last summer or the
last summer,
Just
yeah.
keep going. Just keep going.
Okay. The last summer, he'd gone for a hike with Joe Travers deep into the desert. The weather had been fine when they'd set out, but late the first night, a storm had caught them unawares. People had trouble believing him to this day, but Carl swore the sky dropped 6 inches on them in less than 30 minutes. It was like being caught in a hurricane in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. They were trying to cross through a gully, to get to shelter when an old beaver's dam or something farther up the gully must have broken and a flood came down on them and washed Joe away.
Damn.
Also, the new best friend should sound like Keanu.
Okay.
I feel like that's safe.
Sure,
That works.
Yeah, that works. We've done that before.
Carl barely made it to safety on the other side. He tried to save Joe. He dived in and swam after him. He even split his side open on a boulder trying. But even though the flood was fierce, he
The sharp
didn't
boulder.
honestly think Joe would drown. They were in the middle of the desert, for Christ's sakes. Who drowns in a desert?
Does it?
Who drowns in a desert?
Who drowns in a desert?
But that's why like water sits on top of dry dirt because there's not water underneath to help absorb it.
Yeah.
So it just rests on top.
Well,
that is like the only thing I know about science.
Well, I was gonna say, when I looked at the pictures of gullies and I saw those pictures, I'm like, I always thought they were called canyons or whatever. But like the whole thing is, if you feel rain, you get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out of the gully.
Get the fuck out, because you're gonna die soon.
Baby gulch, baby gulch.
Oh, please.
Anyway,
God, okay.
But Joe did drown or smother, and that was a fact.
What?
Although they didn't find his body until a few months later.
Isn't drowning just smothering by water?
Yes.
That scientists would say yes.
Okay.
The flood had buried him beneath a pile of dirt and dead shrubs, and the insects and the weather had gotten to him by the time a ranger stumbled across his fleshless finger, pointing through the sun-baked mud at the blazing sky.
My God.
It's like, fuck you, clouds. You're the one that did this to me.
Which finger was it?
Pinky. It was the pinky. He was drinking a cup of tea when he was smothered.
Going down with a sense of style.
Proper to the end.
Yeah.
All that remained was a skeleton, but the coroner said it was Joe, no question.
The coroner is also like, it's definitely Carl's fault.
So Carl had his nightmares and didn't have to wonder why. Yet he continued to ask himself why the flood had just happened to come down upon them the instant they climbed into the gully. There weren't any beavers or beaver dams in the desert. There was nothing but sand and
lizards. Did not occur to me that there wouldn't be fucking desert beavers.
Desert beavers.
Did not occur to me.
Yeah.
Carl climbed out of bed and went into the bathroom and took a cold shower. The sizzling sun through his bedroom window had already told him that it was going to be hot. When he had, what a time when you couldn't look up the weather before you even left bed.
When I couldn't ask my robot speaker to tell me what the weather was outside.
When he had finished washing and was dressed, he stopped by the kitchen for something to eat. He doubted he'd find anything. His dad drove a truck long distance and hadn't been home in a week. He didn't know what his mom did, but she hadn't been home in 8 years.
What?
She'd sent money at Christmas, though, a few $100 each time. He figured she must be doing all right.
Okay.
He had a liberal family life. He stayed out of his dad's way, and his dad stayed out of his, and they got along fine.
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
He took care of himself. He didn't need his mother's money. He worked as a mechanic at a local gas station and was good at his job, but he couldn't remember when he had last bought food. Lately, he hadn't been feeling all that hungry. There was a black banana in the refrigerator. He almost threw it away, but ended up eating the parts that looked serviceable.
Ew.
Carl!
It's just a dude being a dude.
What are you doing with that?
Buy some Pop-Tarts.
What is he, Mark?
Then he found a box of crackers in a cupboard. He was munching on those with the help of a glass of water. Apparently has his water to his chewing for him when he noticed the message light blinking on the answering machine.
That's how you know the book is old.
His dad had bought the machine for business reasons. All truck drivers do. It was the newest thing in the house and one of the most expensive. It cost $100.
That's incredible.
Carl rewound the tape.
$1 in today's money.
It's true, yeah.
Rewound the tape, lowered the volume. The messages his dad's pals left usually contained a minimum of 10 obscene words.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want no one else to hear them?
Especially if he said damn.
Yeah.
No way.
That's a very triggering word for Carl.
Hi, Carl. This is Tracy White. I hope I'm not calling too late. It's 10:15 Thursday night. The reason I'm calling, I was wondering if you wanted to be in our group for the Scavenger Hunt. We're going to have Rick and Paula and myself. We think you could really help us out. Give me a call if you can. My number is 555-9372. Wow. 867-5349. Take care and hope to talk to you soon.
That's a very business-like call for what I'm assuming is a high school girl to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, and wait till you... Well, okay, we're about to get into it.
Yeah, tell me more about Tracy.
Carl smiled at the message.
Oh.
Tracy was a good kid.
Good kid.
He'd had a crush on her when they were freshmen. She was a slender redhead with cute freckles and a smile as sweet as they made them.
Adorable.
When they first met at the beginning of high school, he thought they'd become good friends.
But they drifted apart, and now seldom talked. He wasn't sure what had happened. He still had a soft spot for her, though. She had an enthusiastic little girl quality about her that was infectious. At least she used to have that quality. The last few times they talked, she was kind of quiet. He must not be the only one going through hard times. He definitely had to make time to take her. He definitely had to make time to take her to a movie or dinner. If she'd go with him. He'd heard she'd won a scholarship to a college up north. Express wasn't a town that kept its young people. He lives in a town called Express?
Yup.
Okay. That's news to me. Okay. Express.
You know what the delivery company in that town is?
Delayed.
Express.
Express. You'll get it, but when we feel like it. Express wasn't a town that kept its young people. It was too small and too hot. Soon, Tracy would be moving in higher circles than he was accustomed to. But today was not the day to get together with Tracy. The Paula mentioned in the message was Tracy's best friend Paula Morrow. And, by unfortunate coincidence, she had also been Joe Travers' girlfriend.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, God.
Carl realized he was knee-deep in exposition, but he had to keep going.
He avoided her whenever possible. He wasn't sure, but suspected Paula blamed him for Joe's death along with the rest of the entire population of Express. That was understandable. It had been his idea to go for the trip into the desert gully. On the other hand, he hadn't exactly dragged Joe along. He guessed everybody needed someone to blame. It was also weird that two teenagers still insisted on driving tricycles.
That's what's weird.
That's what's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe if they were on
No wonder
bicycles.
they were going so slow.
Yeah,
Their
that's
legs
what I
are
was gonna
way
say.
too long.
Maybe if they
for
were on
that.
bicycles, they could have gone faster. Anyway, he couldn't be on Tracy's team when he was on Ceci's.
Tracy did get her call in first.
That's true.
She timestamped the voicemail.
That's true.
And I respect it.
That's
Point
true.
along,
But
point along.
hang on, Ceci is sexy.
And
She's
naked.
She's
At
naked in a
7
pool
in the morning.
with a
In
concussion.
front of another boy.
Yeah.
A
I just
concussion
like when
boy.
he asked if she was naked, and he's just like, I think so.
Yes. I don't
That
know.
is so alarming. That's
Get that boy help.
oh my god! If you ask that to a teenage boy and he says, "I think so," I'd be like, "Oh, go to the hospital." He might have had a crush on Tracy once, but they hadn't come up with a word for the way he felt. But they hadn't come up with a word for the way he felt about Cecilia Stepford.
Illegal, maybe.
Love or lust didn't say it. He just wanted her, and he wanted her bad.
That's
I
lust.
think that's called
Carl.
lust.
That's called lust.
That's
yeah.
lust,
That's
Carl.
100%
Yeah.
lust.
I think
yeah.
we nailed that one.
I think we call it lust. Christopher Pike, you got it in the second try. Tracy might have called after he had gone to bed last night, Bekah. He decided not to call her back. He'd seen
Typical
her.
man.
He'd see her at school and tell her he was already taken. He put away his crackers and went outside
His
and climbed
morning
into his
crackers.
truck. This is
Now
so
remember those crackers.
it's so sad. He's like,
That old lady will show up with them later.
I work at the I feel like he should be James Vanderbeek from Varsity Blues because he's like, I work at the gas station. I had a black banana and some crackers this morning.
I was thinking Rob Lowe, but Rob Lowe as he is now.
Delightful, you mean?
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
Express was a nothing town. It had roads and buildings and a population of 20,000, but when Carl drove around it, he was reminded of the millions of cities listed on a map of the U.S., all those meaningless names and places that just turned to a gray blur if you held the map out a couple of feet. He needed glasses. It didn't make any difference that he had lived in Express all his life. It wasn't home to him. Sometimes he wondered if he'd ever find a place that felt like home.
No.
Oh, damn.
It's bleak. Express was located 80 miles inland from San Diego, 40 miles north of the Mexican border.
Okay. Finally, I know where we are.
Okay, so we're inland and we're up. Okay. Besides the scorching heat, Express had smog.
Is it that's California, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
San Diego, yes.
Well, no, yeah. I'm just like, what's like? Is it like New Mexico? But no, it would be just California.
I don't know things. I don't know how far 80 miles is.
It's real southwest.
California could be 80 miles from us, for as far as I know. I know it's not, but I really am bad with that stuff. Besides the scorching heat, Express had smog. God only knew where it came from. May through September,
L.A.
the town and its people hardly moved. What would that have to do with smog?
It was really bad back then in LA.
But what does it have to do with people moving?
Away from the smog? I don't know.
It doesn't matter. I don't know. Mr. Partridge's club members...
Now it all clicks into place.
I'm already confused and I'm 4 words into the sentence. Mr. Partridge's club members must have strained their imaginations planning the promised scavenger hunt through the all but deserted streets of Express. Okay, so Partridge Club founded by Mr.
Partridge. Is he a teacher?
We'll find out.
Okay.
Carl could see them searching for lifesavers in the Rexall drugs and 3/4-inch screws in Headley's hardware. More than that, he couldn't imagine. More than that, he couldn't imagine. He wasn't even sure what the grand prize was supposed to be. Ceci lived in an area of town referred to as the Mountains, a creative name for a portion of Express where the ground sloped upward 100 feet and a herd of eucalyptus trees had gathered. It was where the well-to-do resided, up on the hill, above everyone else.
Yes, of course. So they could look down on you.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the way there, thinking of Ceci swimming naked in her pool and nudging his truck toward a red light that didn't have the good sense to turn green, Carl almost ran over Paula Morrow's younger brother, the esteemed Richard Morrow.
Oh, my God. I want to...
Quick
yeah.
tangent.
Well,
Isn't your aunt and uncle named Rick and Paula?
Michael and Paula.
Okay,
Yeah.
I had it wrong.
I just want to check real quick. I was doing a time check, so we're at 8:03, and we
Keep going.
are
Keep
19.
going.
Yeah,
All
I was
right.
going to say, are you cool to just like finish
I'm
this
cool.
chapter?
Hang on for about a few more minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
We've
All right.
got we're at 20, so we got 10 more pages of this chapter. I just wanted to check if that's okay with
Let's
you.
do
Okay.
it.
Cool.
Let's
All right.
do
Thank
it.
you. Yeah.
Because I have to see your faces
At the end of the
very,
chapter.
very, very
Oh, man.
soon.
Oh, I
Oh, boy.
appreciate. Oh, I'm so
Oh my
excited.
gosh, this gets so much worse.
I already am.
Paula Morrow's younger brother, the esteemed Richard Morrow. Hey! Rick shouted, bringing his wheelchair to an abrupt halt 3 feet short of the projected path of Carl's truck. Carl wouldn't really have hit him. Rick was overreacting, which Carl supposed was his right, since he was only 15 and about to graduate 3 years early and at the head of their class. Like, the guy can't walk, so he wants to upstage us other ways. Carl put his truck in neutral.
I don't think
pulled
it's
on the parking brake.
overreacting because he's smart to
And he
not want to
almost
get hit
got
by a
hit by a
truck.
Yes.
I think even if you're not that smart, you don't want to get hit by a
Carl
truck.
has already gotten another child killed.
It gets so much worse, guys.
Oh,
Yep.
no.
Except for the two of them, the intersection was empty. Rick wheeled over to Carl's window. He was breathing
So
heavily.
awkward.
He had muscular dystrophy and had been handicapped since age 5.
Yeah. Okay. Good edit.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Boy.
Were you gonna run that light? You fucking dickhead. Rick asked. Probably. You didn't see me, did you? Nope, you were moving too fast. Rick put in his road work every morning. One day he said he was going to wheel his chair in the New York Marathon. Carl wished him well, but he didn't think highly of the handicapped. But from the way Rick panted, completing his 1 mile course every morning, he doubted that Rick would be entering
Carl.
any marathon soon.
Carl.
So I ad-libbed needlessly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Provided what I said
Yeah,
in
he's
a better
telling
way.
on himself.
Yep.
Rick
God,
grinned
I
at his
stopped taking
remark.
notes.
He was a scrawny kid with a mop of brown hair that didn't quite hide his big ears. So you're just making fun of everything now.
Come on.
Carl had once heard Tracy call him a choir boy, and that fit, because he had the voice of an angel. Except for being thin and pale, he looked like a cherub. I did a mile on the track the other day and broke 5 minutes, Rick said. Ain't bad for a lame duck.
Damn.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to reread that. I'm recasting Rick. He's now Matthew McConaughey.
Fuck yeah.
I did a mile on the track the other day and broke 5 minutes. Ain't bad for a lame duck.
All right.
Clint gets it. Were there any witnesses? Carl asked, like an asshole.
God was my witness. Hey, did Tracy call you last night? Carl hesitated, feeling guilty for not having returned the message. No, he said. She really wanted to know if you'd like to be on our team for the scavenger hunt. Really? Carl said. Rick immediately sensed his lack of interest. He was a sharp kid. I think we'd make a good team. Tracy's enthusiasm, your brains, and my good looks, he added hastily. Paula wants you too.
Oh, dip.
Carl looked away. He was a lousy liar, except when it came to lying to himself.
Oh, my
Damn.
God. That hurts.
Tom said something about my being on his team. Tom, Nick asked. Tom Barrett, you know, my friend.
The concussion.
It disturbed him how people had forgotten about Tom, now that his head injury kept him from playing the big athlete.
Oh, no.
Or remembering about them.
Nobody had forgotten Joe, all the touchdowns he had scored. Not that Joe didn't deserve to be remembered.
Wow.
Oh yeah, him, Rick said. Who else is going to be in the group? If it's just the two of you, maybe we could team up with you. I don't know. Carl raised his head, seeing Rick's eager face. I'd like to also point out that for a town where nobody likes Carl, it seems like everybody likes Carl.
Yeah. We definitely think you murdered your friend, and we all want you on our scavenger hunt team.
Can you help us, Carl? We love
Yeah.
you.
What if that's like the thing he's like really good at? It's like, oh, look, for the scav hunt, gotta get Carl.
Carl
Gotta
will
get
do
Carl on the
whatever it
team.
takes.
He's so
He'll
good at
kill
finding
people.
stuff. He will kill people.
Yeah.
He didn't understand why the kid looked up to him the way he did when Rick's IQ must have been twice his. Well,
Self-aware
let's see
at least.
when we all get to school, all right? I might not even take part.
He said, all right.
Yeah. You got work to do? Rick was giving him a polite out. Yeah, Carl said. Work to do. Got a ring job on a semi whose engine melted when it crossed our city line. Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah,
Was that just fake car stuff? Because it sounded like fake car
a
stuff.
ring job truly sounds made up. That sounds like something I would say. Rick wiped the sweat
Gotta
off
fix
his...
those
by the
engine
way.
rings.
Yeah. Rick wiped the sweat off his brow with the back of his hand. I believe it. It's supposed to be 110 today. I hope the scavenger hunt leads us to water. Carl shivered at the remark, even though the sun beating down on the back of his head was making him feel as if he were in a matchstick. The sky
He
was
shivered at someone
trying to
mentioning
light.
water, but he took a shower earlier.
Also, how's the sun beating down on the back of his head? He's in a truck.
Also,
he
he
has a
doesn't
skylight.
remember the dream, right? Yeah, okay.
It made no sense that
Carl.
the dam in his dream should have spouted bloody water. Joe hadn't bled a drop. That's fucked up.
Is that what the book said?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do I, Carl said without enthusiasm. Rick said goodbye and continued with his workout. Carl put his truck in gear and ran the light, which had turned green and then red again while they had talked, and he was like, yeah, fuck it. Ceci's place was big for Express and distinctive.
Well, she's in the rich town.
I know, yeah.
I'm just giving you a
All
little
shaded
background
with
music.
Thank you.
eucalyptus trees.
We appreciate it.
The lot had a good percentage of the mountain's trees, and as Carl drove up the long driveway and into the blessed shade, his spirits began to lift.
I bet.
Why would anyone live in the West? It's just too hot. He had never been inside the brown frame house, but he had been around back once with Tom.
Oh, spicy.
Excuse me.
As I was saying that, I'm like, yep, okay. Ceci's pool was like an underground lake. Ceci's pool was like an underground lake.
Go on. Go on.
Huge, with a black bottom. And maybe a white bottom now, too, if Ceci was still swimming a nude.
It was a real
Was that you or the
cesspool.
book?
That's in the book.
Oh.
I didn't add a single thing. He parked and walked around the side of the house without
I
ringing
hate this.
the front doorbell. Ceci's parents were never home. the last Christopher Pike book we read was also the book with the fucking naked hot tub terrible flirting. Remember?
Yes. Oh, I wish I could forget.
Sensing a pattern. Ceci was laughing, and Tom...
teenage girls naked in
naked
bodies
teenage
of water?
girls and boys being like... da. Ceci was laughing, and Tom was spacing... Oh, God. I feel so bad for Tom.
Tom's a sweet baby.
Tom...
He's got his finger on the keyboard, and he just keeps hitting space. That Tom, he's a character.
He's got a word processor.
When Carl entered the backyard, surprisingly, Tom caught his attention first. Tom was sitting cross-legged on the white deck at the shallow end. The way the light blazed across the front of Tom's black shirt,
What?
Carl figured he must be planted directly in the hottest part of the sun's reflection. Light doesn't blaze across black. It absorbs it.
Maybe it's like a leather shirt.
Ooh.
And it's shiny.
Yep. Okay. His leather black shirt. Not only that,
It's the only thing that makes sense.
he didn't have on dark glasses, and he was staring into the very spot where the hardest angle of the sun hit the surface of the pool.
God.
Tom, someone help him!
Someone put him in the shade. Give him a hat.
Oh, but wait, this is the important sentence.
Oh, God.
Go on, Jonathan. Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah. He wasn't even squinting. Full eyeballs into the sun. Into the reflective water sun, which is worse, I think.
He never experiences an eclipse.
Tom's eyes weren't following Ceci either, which might have been a sign of brain damage, but Carl had no such problem.
No other signs.
Ah!
I already forgot. What's her actual name?
Cecilia.
Okay. Ceci was at the far end of the pool in deep water, and with the black bottom, it was difficult to tell if she was wearing a suit or not.
How deep I'm sorry. Go on.
They're rich. It's probably pretty deep.
Crazy. Okay.
We had an above ground pool. It was like 4 feet deep. It was not this fancy shit under the eucalyptus trees. The uncertainty raised Carl's substantial pulse several extra beats. He strolled toward the deck, trying to look casual. It was a wonderful thing, he thought, when nature placed a wild girl inside the body of a mature woman.
Excuse me.
And I quit. Forever.
Oh no, Bekah's gone.
How the fuck old are they? They're in high school.
That's high school, right? Yeah.
Hello, kids,
Max,
he said
17.
nonchalantly. Hello, Tom said, barely moving an eyebrow. Tom had a wide, blunt face and even under the best of circumstances showed scant emotions. Please stop describing people.
Please leave Tom alone.
Christopher Pike is a bitch. He is so mean.
Please leave Tom alone.
He's just so mean.
Tom
is
you sweet
precious.
summer child. Oh.
Today didn't look as if it would be one of his better days.
No.
A couple of months ago, Carl had seen an adaptation of Ray Bradbury's The Martian Chronicles on TV.
Nice.
And the bronze mask the Martians wore reminded him of Tom's mask-like face. And that saddened him. Before his football accident, Tom had been full of life. Fuck, this is depressing.
This is so sad.
Hi, Carl, Ceci called, her black curly hair plastered wet and dripping over her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
She brushed it aside and grinned at him with her wide mouth. Wanna get wet?
Damn,
I hate that I had to
Ceci!
read that. Carl briefly wondered if he wasn't still at home and dreaming. Ceci was treading water not far from the diving
You're not
board.
dreaming. There's no blood.
He had been wrong about her white bottom. White is italicized.
Excuse me.
She was definitely naked, he realized, and he could glimpse no break in the uniformity of her wonderful tan.
Oh, dear God.
I can't let this.
I need a cigarette.
Oh, I feel like I'm gonna go to jail.
that whole page.
Oh, no.
It gets worse. I can see that it's
you're
worse.
just barely.
Oh, no.
No.
Chris,
All
tell
right.
us.
Go.
She probably went skinny dipping all the time in what I will now refer to as the cesspool. He wished she wouldn't splash quite so much so the water
Okay,
could
now
calm
I
down
quit
and let her
because this
see.
is not getting better than that.
I'm turning into a pervert, he thought to himself.
Yes, just
The
now.
author
No,
injected.
didn't bring my suit.
Best
he
read
said,
so far.
and blushed in spite of his resolve to be totally cool.
Yeah, you blew
Sassy-
it. You beefed it.
Isn't it like
Twisted
8 a.m. on a school day?
That's how she starts every school day.
What? Did Tom wake up there? Why is he there?
I don't know
Sassy-
what is happening.
Ceci twisted her head toward Tom. He doesn't have his suit, she called. What should we do?
Oh my god.
I don't know, Tom said. Ceci knew. If you can't join me, I suppose I better get out, she remarked, swimming toward Carl. When she reached the side, she held up her arm for a helping hand. The top of her right breast lifted above the waterline, and a very fine top of the breast it was. Ceci was built. But not only did she have him distracted, she had him suckered.
Get ready!
He had no sooner clasped her wet palm when he was falling head first into the water.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Who else is picturing Fast Times at
Fast Times at
Ridgemont
Ridgemont
High?
High! That's exactly what I was picturing.
Sexy, sassy.
Oh my god.
Oh, Carl, you're such
Sassy
a
was
doll to join me, Ceci said
Oh,
when he
Sassy.
surfaced. She didn't give him a chance to get angry. Splashing him in the face, she darted toward the shallow end with a flirtatious wink that said he was welcome to follow. And follow her he did, with his soaked pants and waterlogged sneakers
In more
taking
ways
the
than
bite
one.
out of his strokes. And not just because of the water. Or was he just using the clothes as an excuse for not catching her? He was no slouch in the water, but she was an incredible swimmer. Before he could get to the step area, she had flipped over and pushed off the side and passed him underwater like a mermaid riding a torpedo.
That's like a hat on a hat in the pool.
Having fun? Tom asked. Carl paused to take a breath. What time is it? Tom consulted his watch. Late? Carl tugged at his wet shirt. I think I'm going to be extra late. You can wear my clothes.
Ew, no.
Okay. You can wear my clothes. I've got my gym shorts on underneath these pants. I was going to go swimming in them. You sure? Thomas shrugged. I don't care what I wear to school.
Tom.
Oh, boys, Ceci called. What time is it? Carl received one of the major disappointments of his life when he turned around. Ceci had already climbed out of the pool and was in her bathrobe.
He saw a top of a boob. That's pretty good for a high schooler.
Oh, that
in
would
this
have
tiny,
me going
shitty
through
town.
like 6 weeks at least.
He couldn't, but yeah, that's halfway to first base. He couldn't believe his bad timing, nor could he believe not a flicker of interest had touched Tom's expression. When Tom must have seen the entire transition from water to bathrobe.
Leave Tom alone.
It's late, Carl called, climbing slowly up the pool steps. He got later before they left for school. Yes, that's how time works, Christopher.
Like, you might be wearing your friend's pants he was already wearing, but you still need a shirt and shoes and shit.
Is Tom at one point going to turn to Carl and be like, I live outside of time, Carl?
I guess you'll just have to wait about 20 chapters, Christopher.
I'm the dream dragon that fell
Sassy.
into the dam.
Ceci hadn't had breakfast yet, and she swore she just had to have breakfast. She disappeared inside for several minutes.
Women.
No, now that I think about it, I mean, if you had a thesaurus, what other word is there for breakfast? He used it twice in 2 sentences. Morning meal. She disappeared inside for several minutes. Now, listen, get this. She disappeared inside for several minutes, and when she returned, effortlessly balancing a huge red tray in one hand, she had a meal fit for a king and queen. Crisp bacon,
What?
fat sausage, scrambled eggs, toast, juice, and a bowl of plump fruit. It's like reading George R.R. Martin.
How did that happen so fast?
You
Oh.
focuses so much on food.
Her mom's in there cooking while her daughter's naked in the pool with 2 boys.
It's
Her
absolutely,
mom-
it's Mean Girls.
I think it was her servants.
Yeah.
By this
yeah.
time, Carl had changed into Tom's shirt and pants. Tom had even lent him his sandals, preferring, he said, to go barefoot.
So Tom
Sassy-
is in shorts only.
Yes.
No
He's
shoes,
wearing-
no shirt.
He's just wearing
God.
gym
Just
shorts.
the shorts.
You know what's depressing about that is
Tom.
that Tom
Everything?
can get literally everything because
Yes.
the townsfolk will be like, Tom, where's your shirt and shoes? Hey, don't say that to Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what
nobody
happened?
said a word. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there's Tom. Tom being Tom.
Oh, there's goes Tommy and Tom. Ever since
that
the accident.
poor sweet baby angel.
Holy shit.
Ceci still had her white bathrobe on, though, and Carl was thankful for small favors. Really turning me around here, Carl. I don't know where you stand. Her long black hair had already begun to dry into its 25 natural curls. I'm sorry, I read the page number.
Wow, that's specific.
That was so effortless. Oh my god. The three of them sat to eat at a round glass table beneath the slanted wood beams of the porch. Maybe it was a pergola. We're going to miss the assembly on the scavenger hunt, Carl said. Trying the so it's like a school sanctioned thing. I thought it was like
yeah.
I thought it was like a what's that thing in the
I
Gilmore
thought it was
Girls
a secret thing
where they do the what's the club they do?
Yeah.
Life and Death Brigade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Omni apparatus.
The scope and the just read on. Just read on.
Yeah, the back of the book says a secretive club, but they have a school-wide assembly about it.
They
assembly.
treat this scavenger hunt like spring freaking break.
Holy crap.
You'll see. You'll see.
Carl said trying the bacon and liking it because it's fucking bacon.
Bacon.
Ceci must have had the food already prepared before going into the pool, you think, or else there was someone else home. It's taking the place of first period. Davy won't let it start until we get there, Ceci said, munching on 2 sausages while simultaneously sampling
Don't
her
miss
eggs.
this.
Hold on.
Read that again, Jonathan.
Davy won't let it start until we get there, Ceci said, munching on 2 sausages while simultaneously sampling her eggs.
So 2 sausages, eggs, and speaking.
So she's got, here's what I picture. 2 forks, one in each hand, sausage on each fork, and she's going...
And then leaning forward and getting a mouthful of eggs.
Maybe we won't let it start until we get there.
That is quite a lot of food to eat at once while you're talking.
Mm-hmm. It
In a
certainly
bathrobe.
is, Jonathan.
Davy was Ceci's brother. I don't need another person in this
No,
book.
yeah.
There's
This is
so many characters. I need to
God.
make a tree.
Oh, he was senior class president. They were in the same grade, although the two had only arrived in Express at the end of last summer, and next to no one knew them when school had begun in the fall. Davy had somehow managed to win the office by his extravagant promises. Who
2 sausages for every person.
Sausage and eggs every day! School's gonna start fucking late. You can swim.
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
Come out of the water fountains.
Oh, it's even better. Read the next sentence.
Davey had actually told the class he was going to see to it that they had live entertainment every day at lunch. Spin
Gentlemen,
doctors!
Casey and the Sunshine Bear.
Everyday spin doctors! No one had believed him, but they had
I love
voted
that
for him
neither of
anyway.
You had the era right. That the
He-
book takes place.
He was a smooth talker. I don't like this. They didn't have live entertainment once the entire year, and that was the first taste they got of politicians breaking promises that they made on the campaign trail.
Did they not have fights at lunch every day? Because we had that. That was kind of entertaining. Everyone yelled.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't have fights at lunch, but
He went to Catholic
when
school.
I went to Catholic school.
You guys don't need me for foreshadowing.
Does Davey know how Mr. Partridge's club has organized the hunt? Carl asked. He says no, Ceci said. Do you believe him? He's my
What was
brother.
it? He's class president.
Who?
Davy.
Davey's class president.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's my brother,
Trying
she
to-
said. Of course not. I'm glad he's on our team then, Carl said. Maybe we'll win. Ceci grinned, showing her dimples. Her face was round, too cute to be clawed. Hang on, I'm sorry. Her
Too
face was-
cute to be clawed. Coming out this summer.
Too cute. You gotta be cute to be clawed. Her face was round, too cute to be called classically beautiful, and, however, too sensual to be thought of as innocent. She's a real.
I don't know what that.
God,
fucking
I
enigma.
love when men write women.
I love when men.
It makes so much sense.
I love
and
when
it's not
men
horrible at all.
write 17-year-old girls.
Oh,
Are
it's
we
worse.
sure?
Immediately, immediately it gets worse.
No. I'm not
Are we
prepared.
sure Christopher Pike isn't a pseudonym for Emily Bronte?
Her lush lips were
No.
the first thing a guy noticed about her, if not her wonderful hair. In fantasies, whenever Carl kissed her,
If you do remember, she's built.
I want to stop immediately.
Go on, please, though.
He always felt as if he were being eaten alive by those full lips. I should have followed my instincts.
I really should have been drinking while you said that.
Eaten,
Me, Carl.
eaten alive? Huh, interesting.
She... See, now I feel like you're just tricking us. I don't know what to believe.
Oh my god.
She swallowed the remains of her sausage and batted her thick black lashes over her dark blue eyes. She was such a tease.
She was such a tease, just chomping down on a sausage.
Eating food and blinking. I'm not positive Davy knows a shortcut to the jackpot, she said, and touched his hand with her fingertip. One fingertip. That's why we want you on our team, to make sure we win. If you're worried about winning, Carl said, pleased with her comment, then you should have recruited Rick Morrow. He's got the brains. Ceci glanced at Tom, who was carefully buttering his fourth piece of toast.
Tom.
Any day now, he would begin to eat the bread, so he's just buttering it and not eating it. Tom!
No!
I'm gonna cry tonight thinking about Tom.
So depressed.
God only knew how he and his vivacious, or how he and vivacious Ceci had become such good friends. Maybe because she has a heart and isn't so judgmental. Could we get Master Richard? She asked. He's going to be on a team with his sister and Tracy White, Tom said. Who told you that? Carl asked, curious how Tom had come across the obscure information when he had trouble keeping track of when tomorrow was.
Tomorrow.
God. It's
But
Tom.
it's
Oh no, it's
Tom.
tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. That's how he always knows
That's how
when
he,
it is.
that's how he knows.
But that was the thing about Tom. He was out there in right field with the mushrooms.
What?
But he had brought along binoculars and could tell you who was sitting behind the home plate umpire. Right field is where you put the worst player, but I don't know about mushrooms being there.
Yeah,
or
they got a
binoculars.
terrible grounds crew. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really weird metaphor.
It's really cool and damp in
Yes.
Express.
Except for all the desert.
Except for all the hot desert. I forgot.
I don't know, Tom said. Maybe we could team up with their team halfway through the hunt, Ceci suggested.
Tom paused and put down his butter knife and looked at her. I heard that's against the rules. The rules? Ceci snorted. Who made those up, Mr. Partridge?
Probably.
That
Yeah.
guy's weird.
The guy
He hasn't taken off his sunglasses once the entire year.
Oh,
You know what I think? I think he's a vampire. He's so pale
That's what I
and
said!
gross-looking.
Clint said no, though.
Yeah.
A friend of mine is in one of his classes, Carl said. English literature. All he does is have them read books and write reports. He never grades. He never lectures.
He doesn't drink wine.
I never see him eat human food.
I still don't think we need Rick on our team, Tom said. Ceci returned his look and had a sudden change of heart. You're probably right. The four of us will be enough, Tom said. Ceci removed her finger from Carl's hand and reached for the strawberries. Carl, she asked, did you used to go out with Tracy White? No. Who told you that? No one. Ceci popped a couple of strawberries in her mouth.
A couple?
Specifically
Jesus Christ.
two.
This
Yeah.
girl,
Specifically two.
2 sausages, 2 strawberries.
she,
Suggesting
like,
nothing.
I'm not judging him, just like she likes to eat.
It's just the way
He
she
said
looks at
earlier
you
she has a
sometimes.
wide mouth,
That's true, that's true.
which is
She
information
can
I wish
fit
I didn't
several
have.
strawberries.
Carl knew Ceci was pulling his leg. I'm afraid she hasn't had the pleasure, he said, once again trying to sound casual. Light banter didn't come easily for him, especially with
kidding.
a girl as pretty as Ceci. He was much more comfortable crouched on his back beneath an oily engine, even though he hated his job.
I already forgot
Or at
he worked
least
in, like, a
the
garage.
joint where he worked.
Oh my god.
The garage was full of savages. He had to get out of there, and out of Express, too.
Christ.
Take us home, Clint.
Take us home, Clint!
Ceci chewed her strawberries slowly, savoring, so it seemed to him, the feel of them in her mouth more than their taste, her wet, white bathrobe almost loose enough to make his disappointment of a few minutes ago a thing of the distant past.
Like this.
She didn't elaborate upon her remark. Why do you ask? He asked. Finally, again, thesaurus. Look into it.
Yeah.
And no reason, she said, and she smiled at him.
With strawberry teeth.
Now, be honest. You three are never going to finish this book, are you?
Oh,
no,
we
we will.
definitely are.
Oh, we're gonna
This is
finish
what
it so
we
hard.
do.
I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
It from this point, and I want to tell you, I enjoyed reading this book. I really did. I mean, there's
been a
some
blast.
But I'm telling you something. They introduce the scavenger hunt, and they start on the scavenger hunt. And at that point, Christopher Pike says, you know that crazy shit that was going on in the first couple of chapters? You ain't seen nothing yet, baby.
I'm excited.
Yes, that is what I want from a Christopher Pike book.
And I will also say, a lot of the stuff that you guys speculated about, even if you didn't mean to, he's right. And a lot of the stuff you couldn't, in the middle of your wildest acid dream, you could not have come up with.
Classic Pike.
That is all I want from a Christopher Pike book.
Like, once we got to Robot from the Future trying to bang her grandfather in the past, I was like, you know what? Fucking jury's out. Like, I can't do it. I can't figure it out. Like, I'm just
That book
along
was
for the
upsetting.
ride. Yeah.
Oh, my friend,
Oh my God.
my friend.
So good. So good.
I want to see which one you thought was nutsier. This one or that one.
I will gladly let you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on our show with us. This was absolutely a blast. Did you have a good time?
I had a great time. I love it.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
I mean, I even think next time I fly to Germany, I'm going to read another Christopher Pike.
Yes. Oh, we made a
Keep up the
convert.
tradition.
That's fantastic. For anyone listening, is there anything you would like to plug?
Oh gosh. Yes, my Christopher Pike fan cast. And you can find out everything at www.themcelroyfamily, themcelroy.family.
Okay.
www.themcelroy.family. It's got all the stuff in there. We've got we do the McElroy Family podcast. The McElroy Family Clubhouse is live every Tuesday at noon. It's
so
a blast.
Fun. I love it so much. Yeah.
We've got some. You were talking about hiking in the desert. That we've got something coming up that you're going to love.
Ooh, excited.
Of course, Taz is in the middle of well, I don't know if it's the middle or not. I don't know the geographic spot, but we're currently on the Adventure Zone doing
Abnormals.
Abnormals.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're having a blast with it.
Yeah.
We were challenged by some people. Can you do a family? Something I can listen to with my family.
Yeah.
And I always used to say, yeah, if it's the Manson family. But so we're having a blast doing Abnormals. The
awesome.
6th graphic novel in the Adventure Zone series came out earlier this summer. We, right now, the 7th and final one. Ooh.
Oh, geez.
Am I breaking that story? Anyway. We'll be coming out. We'll be making an announcement about that very soon. Okay, good.
You're breaking it to our one listener.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Which might be you. So.
I don't want to. That's true. I did attest to that earlier. And it's just we've got our candle night show coming up soon.
Oh, nice.
Which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then we will be touring again, starting up again in the first of the year. A lot of really cool stuff coming up. But
That's really exciting.
Awesome.
I just am the luckiest guy in the world. I get to do stuff like this with cool people like you, and I get to travel around the world with my family. And I keep waiting for somebody to get wise to this scam, and I just keep being the remora on the shark that is my children.
Well, you get to though, because you raised them.
I get to, yeah.
You guys are fantastic. We love all of your stuff. We haven't yet made it to a live show. We were going to make it to one of your shows. was like 2 years ago, but we had to go to a
Yeah,
family
I had
wedding.
to go to my stupid cousin's wedding. The last time you guys were in DC.
But we were
and I really
furious. Yeah.
was so close to just not going to the wedding.
We were furious.
Keep
we
your
went.
eyes on the skies, my
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
The next
Very
time you
soon
guys-
there may be something that'll please you.
Yeah, the next time you are in like DC, if you're anywhere near, I don't know if you guys ever come to Baltimore, but we're in Baltimore. But next time you guys are in DC, we are 100%
We'll be there,
going
yeah.
because we've just been waiting for it. And
I love it.
yeah.
Love it.
Can't recommend it enough. We love your stuff. We have your books. We listen to Adventure Zone and Mabim Bam and all that kind of stuff.
Buy more. My whole retirement depends on it. So I make lovely Christmas gifts.
You don't have to convince us. Everyone
Yeah.
listening, go to the McElroy.family and check out all their stuff. They're fantastic.
Cool.
Thank you so much for listening. You can find all of our stuff cactusrodeo.com and cactusrodeo.com/podcast. Subscribe to this show, the Below Grade Level. We're on TikTok and Instagram. And check out our other shows, The Sketchy Show and the somewhat new Casting Dreams, which is all about the Sega Dreamcast. And we're finishing our first season on that fairly soon, and we'll be back next year with a second season, diving into even more Dreamcast games. So a whole lot of nerdy shit, video games and YA books and sketch comedy. It's all
And
there.
also check out Pop Sega Theater on YouTube.
Yes!
It's not spelled how you think it is.
It's not spelled how you think it is. You gotta look it up. And season 2 of that will be coming at some point in our lifetime. It's been on hiatus.
Sometime before we die,
Sometime
probably.
before we die, we'll make it. It's fine.
We got jobs to work. It's fine.
Well, Clint, thank you so much for being our guest on this episode. And for everyone listening, we love you. Bye.
We love it.
Bye.
Bye.
Below Grade Level is a Cactus Radio production. You can contact us at podcast@cactusrodeo.com. Subscribe and follow on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, and follow Cactus Rodeo on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more entertainment and updates.